Hello, everyone, and welcome to Getting Carried Away, the YouTube show where Emma and I interview authors about their passions, the things which mean the most to them, which inspire them, and have had the greatest impact on their lives.
Hello.
Yeah.
I know, it's rock on. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am delighted. We are delighted this evening to have with us Phil Earle, children's writer extraordinaire. And he has brought three brilliant choices for us to discuss tonight. One of which was totally new to me, which is I'm always eternally grateful. So let's kick it off let's discuss choice number one, which is the film Karate. Gonna have to Karate Kid. Phil, tell us about Karate Kid.
How embarrassing that your beautiful intro is about your passions and the thing that have inspired you and sculptured your craft, and I turn up with Ralph Macchio. Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with that. No judgment here.
So that's just as well. Yes, it's a very, very important film to me. It is. Yeah. Because I'm a child of born 74, so I hit sort of premium kind of video shop era, like pre-blockbusters when you just had little independent video shops. And our local was called New Way. And I would rather watch a film than read a book. And I know that's a really hard thing to admit when you're a writer, but that's where I am. And there were I had probably three go-tos at the age of kind of 11, 12. One would be Rocky 3.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
With in it. One would be No Retreat, No Surrender, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I don't know that classic
No, I don't know that one. No, yeah. We missed that one out.
So many levels. And the third one would be Karate Kid. I would, the selection at New Way wasn't great anyway, to be honest. But I just lost count of the number of times I watched Karate Kid. But I do think it is incredibly underrated, and it can be held up as a beautiful 3-act underdog story, and it has undoubtedly influenced my writing massively, he says sheepishly.
Yeah. So if you borrowed the VHS video, were there certain bits that you'd rewind and watch over and over again, or would you always watch it all the way through? Or?
I would watch it all the way through. I would often just forward to the bits that Elizabeth Shue was in as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. In her shorts. It's a bit Gregory's Girl, kind of like that whole.
Yeah. There was that way she was in Back to the Future, wasn't she? And then she got and then she got edited out of she didn't come back for this anyway. That's a different film.
And Cocktail as well. I really loved her in Cocktail.
She's brilliant. That Cocktail's got one of the best strap lines for any film ever, which is it's a picture of Tom Cruise, isn't it? And it says when he pours, he reigns, as in Ari.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
Beautiful.
He probably had something to do with that, didn't he?
And God, we're going off kilter already. But no, I would watch it all. I've always been a sucker for a training montage. Do you know what I mean? And what I loved about 80s films in particular was, I think Karate Kid might be one of the rare exceptions that doesn't have a song by Kenny Loggins in it. Most 80s films have Kenny Loggins. But the best around, when it gets to the All Valley Championship at the end, when it's going through the rounds, you're the best around. I would just watch that 15 times before it went back. But
we used to rewind the bit where he kicks him in the face. We literally used to rewind, kick him in the face, rewind, kick him, just hundreds of times, just wearing out that little bit of the video.
There's so much that's brilliant about it. It is a classic. It's Rocky, isn't it, with karate, basically. It's a classic kind of underdog trope, really. But there were so many, that beautiful relationship that gets built between Miyagi and Daniel. people are probably watching this going, "You sad man." But
no, but it really is beautiful, and it's also quite in depth for the film. It is like the way the way we hear about Miyagi's story is quite like rewatching it. You're a bit like, oh, you didn't have to go into that much detail to get the same effect. Do you know what I mean? Which is why it works, I think.
There is an absolutely blatant lift from Miyagi's backstory into When the Sky Falls. Which is if you haven't read When the Sky Falls, I'll do this without a spoiler. Probably 6 or 7/8 of the way through, you get her backstory in a
I'm only this amount of the way
through.
No,
please no spoilers, because it is in my wanting to read.
Don't worry.
To read pile, so no spoilers.
But there's a moment, that moment in the film where Daniel finds him drunk. And he goes, Miyagi-san. He starts talking about his wife. Inform you, and he talks about his wife dying, and he had a kid, and so I just like, yep, that's
Did you know you were doing that when you did it? If you know what I mean, or was it just one of those things that are unconscious?
No, it's a well-trodden device, really, I suppose. But it was very much in my head because I always loved that. It's a big reveal because he is, until that point, enigmatic, isn't he? Mr. Miyagi. He's not one-dimensional by any stretch, but especially in the 80s, he could be seen as a bit of a racial stereotype. Who is this little Chinese fella, and he looks after bonsai trees and he works as a janitor. It's all a bit, so it's lovely.
Very buttoned up, isn't he? Very buttoned up and under control, and that is the first time you see him really lose control and what's underneath all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you get such depth in their relationship in that moment as well. I think it is really.
I think that's one of the moments where Daniel really steps up, and the next scene is he starts training on his own, and he stood on the pillar on the beach doing the crane kick. If done right, none can defend. It's there's so many brilliant moments that just for me, even now talking about it, I get goosebumps. And I did do I did watch the second and third. My youngest son Stan, he's 11. So I think it was during the first lockdown, we sat down, we went through 1, 2, and 3.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't go to the next Karate Kid. I didn't go that far. I'm not a fan.
Is that the one with Jackie Chan and the?
No. That's your dreadful Jackie Chan, Will Smith's son remake.
Yes.
No, I refuse to watch the remake.
You're not a fan.
I just wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't watch it. I won't watch it.
It was no Ralph Macchio, but they replaced him with a girl. So it was Miyagi training a girl, and the girl at the time was an unknown actress called Hilary Swank, who went into and it's not the best film, if I'm honest. Earle has been a little bit scraped, but it's the big sort of film debut of Hilary Swank.
Wow. So what is it? Is it all just Karate Kid 4?
It's called The Next Karate Kid.
Because we couldn't get the other one. A female boxer in a really successful film.
$1 million movie,
yeah. Eastwood directed that. It's brilliant.
It's like
she learned her moves.
Do you remember what Nicole Kidman's big first feature film was?
Is that
was that
the one on the boat one? Isn't it?
No.
Oh.
No. Do you remember BMX Bandits?
No.
No.
There was a really big 80s one. Remember, we used to queue outside the ABC cinema in Hull to watch it, and there was this ginger-haired girl with curly hair. It was Nicole Kidman playing this BMX ride. BMX
Bandit. Yeah. I thought it was. Is it Cape Fear, the one on the boat?
Cape Fear. No, Juliette Lewis, isn't it?
Yeah, Cape Fear's Juliette Lewis.
I get it mixed up.
Yeah, but I know the one on the boat because it's got what's his face, Billy. What's his face?
Yes,
he plays the psycho.
Billy Zane.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. Open Fear, something I can't remember what it's called. It's Sam Neill, isn't it? Sam Neill and her.
Well,
yes. I must ask you though, before we move on, what you think of Cobra Kai.
I dipped in. My son, my eldest, Albie's 16. He's done all of them. He rinsed it. He just watched it back to back. I wasn't bothered. I don't want anything to sully my Daniel Miyagi love affair, I mean, poor Ralph Macchio probably spent like 30 years in the financial doldrums, I guess, signing autographs at Comic-Cons and stuff like that.
Oh, God.
And then, because the film he made after Karate Kid was a film called Crossroads. Did you see that?
No.
That was basically Karate Kid with electric guitars.
Oh no!
That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
No, that sounds terrible. Like,
That sounds like I'll love it.
He's a guitar player, and he meets a mysterious old black dude who's a guitar legend, basically.
and he waxes on and he waxes off to learn how to slide and to get his fingers like, oh no, yeah, no, it just sounds.
But Ralph Macchio was in The Outsiders as well. You know, the S.E.
Yeah.
Hinton, the film of the S.E. Hinton. He was
Yeah.
really good in that. So yeah, I'm not bothered about Cobra Kai, if I'm honest.
We loved Cobra Kai, so I would say it's really, don't worry about it sullying. Well, I don't think it sullies kind of the memory and how wonderful Karate Kid is. I think it's really kind of a really loving tribute to Karate Kid, and this'll kind of win you round. Elizabeth Shue does make an appearance at one point. She does, yes.
I'm off. See ya.
See you later. Have you watched that CSI series she's in? She's in the same CSI series as Ted Danson. Because I really love Ted Danson as well.
Has he got a really good wig in it?
I don't know.
Ted Danson.
I don't know. But that Ted Danson, Elizabeth Shue double act, it makes me deeply happy.
They're not romantically involved in it, are they?
No.
Oh
No.
God, that would be.
I don't think so. No.
I don't want to see that.
The weird thing with Karate Kid though is the ending. Do you not think it just because it just ends? Like I always was wanting like just one more. I know you don't, not necessarily a wrap up, but it's the trophy, and then that's it. That's a freeze frame, and it's like it's quite
the trophy and the knowing look, isn't it? From Miyagi, it's a GIF.
Yeah.
It's a really well used GIF now on Twitter.
And that's it.
Yeah,
Like,
that works for me. It's because of course your second film picks up in the car park.
Does it pick up directly afterwards?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, before they go
I
off
don't
to
think I've seen
an hour, it starts in the car park, so you get it there.
Ah,
I'm a very sad man that I even know that.
that makes sense.
Is that the scene where Sensei Kreese is beating up Johnny?
Right, yeah, and Miyagi moves and he punches through the windscreens. Do you remember?
Yes.
And he gets his hands and that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the bit about the ending I always remember is Johnny saying, "You're all right, LaRusso," because it's like that's a real redeeming moment for him as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. You didn't see Dolph Lundgren do that in Rocky IV, did you? When won't having any of that.
Although he kind of does do that in the one where they sort of follow up. What's the one where they follow?
Creed.
Is it Creed 2, I think, is the sort of basically Rocky 4 but for the next generation.
Yeah, I love them. They're amazing.
Yeah. And you do kind of see that he was that real sort of, it wasn't his fault, basically. It was never Drago's fault.
Driven by the state, wasn't he?
Yeah. And just drugged up to the eyeballs the whole time.
Yeah.
Obviously, to me, Drago is a properly like 3-dimensional character.
Well, I was having lunch in London a few months ago, and Dolph Lundgren walked in. He's still a big lad, but I tell you what, he don't move so well anymore. He looks
it's got to be quite old,
a bit arthritic.
Did you talk to him, Phil?
No, really. He walked past my table, and I just wanted to go. I'm a really big fan, Mr. Lundgren, but
Or were you tempted to just get up and go, Drago?
I must break you. Yeah.
If he dies, he dies.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, he must get that all the time, though. Poor man.
I love it. Bring it on.
I do like a boxing movie. I remember watching The Champ and that.
I use Champ's in this.
Yeah.
The Champ, don't die, Champ.
Don't. Oh my God.
I can't tell you why, but there's a bit, and you'll get to it, and you'll go, "Oh my God, it's the Champ." Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that broke me. That film, man.
It's a great film, isn't it?
Yeah, really great. Oh, wake up! Like, I can't bear it.
Oh God, Champ.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on from Karate Kid to your manor, isn't it? Isn't it your part of the woods, both of you, Anna and Phil?
Yeah.
We're talking about the absolute genius that is Happy Valley and Sarah Lancashire, which is just, Tell us about Happy Valley and what you love, why you love it, how you came to it. Yeah.
I've got goosebumps even thinking about it. So,
so good.
I think one of the reasons I chose it is because they've just finished filming it down in Ebden and the area. and so that always gets me so excited because, like, you know, it's really nice going, oh look, they're in co-op and oh, they're on Melbourne Street, and but it for me it is like it's West Yorkshire HBO. Do you know what I mean? You know, like when the box set became a thing, when The Wire and Sopranos and stuff like that, and everyone was going, "Oh, America. If it's not American, it's not any good." And for me, The Wire, the Happy Valley stands up against anything that the Americans have made for the quality of the writing, the quality of the plotting, the performances of the actresses. And I say actresses in particular because for me, what a joy to watch TV or anything, TV or film, that is written with where the two main protagonists are two middle-aged women. Do you know what I mean? And they're not plot devices and they're not tropes. They are well fleshed out, well imagined, deeply flawed human beings. Because it is Hebden Bridge and the Calder Valley where I live has got a reputation for being a little bit lawless. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, you know, like in centuries ago there was the big scandal of the coiners of Caig Vale, when the gold coin was how people paid for things. There was a guy called David Hartley, and he started melting down the coin, basically started clipping bits off it, and he was like a Robin Hood. Apart from give it to the poor, he was just on the net. And so there's a brilliant book called The Gallows Pole by Benjamin Myers. Shane Meadows is making that into a big BBC TV series at the moment. So there's quite a big history about the sort of, you know, it's quite wild out here. It's a bit, it sounds daft, but there are synergies between a kind of Wild West and Calder Valley because it's just a bit sprawling. And there are areas which are really quite deprived. There are areas in Sowerby Bridge and Halifax which are really quite down at heel, and there's quite a lot of drug use, and there's quite a lot of, you know, violence and stuff that goes on. Halifax on a Friday night is quite a terrifying place, and Happy Valley doesn't flinch from that. You know, and it's epitomised by this cop sergeant Catherine, played by Sarah Lancashire, who of course was Raquel in Corrie, first and foremost. And her performance in it is just extraordinary. So she's a divorced sergeant. She's got two kids. One of the kids is dead and the other one won't speak to her. She lives with a heroin addict recovering sister. And living with them is her grandson. And the grandson is the result of her daughter being raped by a guy called Tommy Lee Royce. Months after this kid's born, the daughter kills herself. Tommy Lee Royce goes to prison, and the whole first season is about the fact that Tommy's getting released for the first time. So Catherine's trying to deal with this kidnap that's going on, which turns out to be linked to Tommy as well. But she's also got wind that Tommy's back, and so she's torn because half of her wants to do the job that she's employed to do, but half of it just wants to be, I want to kill him. I want to kill him. And I've been rewatching it ahead of coming on to talk to you two about it, and it stands up. That first season is must be at least 6 or 7 years old now. And the writing, it's written by Sally Wainwright, who's gone on to make I think Last Tango in Halifax came first, I think, but of course Gentleman Jack, which has been massive as well, about Anne Lister. But the writing in it it's just a masterclass. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I think it's the writing and the performances that bring me back to it, I think. And also that one of the big themes, I don't know, have you watched the second series? Have you watched the second?
Yes, I have.
So there's that thing of Catherine really worrying that her grandson, you know, her grandson is product of sexual assault. You know, and so there is something in Catherine's mind in that how much of this kid is his dad, how much of him, and there's a heartbreaking, the very last image in season 2, I don't know if you remember, and they're walking up the side of the valley, and he runs on, and you can see the torment in her, you know, that pull in her of, my God, is he going to be all right?
Is he going to be the same?
Is he a product of his father? So they're just filming the 3rd season now, and apparently I think it's set like 10 years on. So,
so he's going to be teenager.
16. I think the kid's 16, and Tommy, I think, comes out of prison again. So Tommy's back in it. So
I'll need to rewatch them before that comes out for me, because I grew up in the Calder Valley, and I used to live in Hebden where Phil lives, and my mum used to work at Chewer Lane Infant School, which was the school that I think they pretended it was in Hebden, but it's actually in Sorby Bridge.
Yeah.
And the police station, I once did this temp job in the licensing department at that police station. So it's like amazing, and you watch it because you think, this is my home, this is where I grew up. And then it's just like you say, it's one of the best TV series. I completely agree, of all time. It's just extraordinary. And it's wonderful. It makes you feel so proud, doesn't it, that they've made something so brilliant, and it doesn't shy away from, because absolutely, I grew up going out in Halifax at the weekend, and it's rough as, if you didn't get, see a fight, or even, get in the middle of one, then it had been a good night. So it doesn't shy away from any of that stuff, but it also doesn't shy away from the fact that it's the most beautiful place, I think, in the world.
Visually, it looks
and I think,
amazing. So
yeah,
it's the whole character of the place is a character in its own right, and you really feel that.
It's a genuine. It is that beautiful for me. There's nowhere on earth like it. I moved up here after 17 years of living in London, and when I got here, I felt like I breathed out. Do you know what I mean? After like 17 years, and it's that lovely juxtaposition of this beautiful landscape, but the dark stuff that can go on. I mean, it's as dark as it gets, isn't it? Kidnap and sexual assault and alcoholism, drug use. But it's deeply funny as well,
There's humor straight away as well. Like, I remember, like what you said about, we were really into like watching The Wire, Sopranos, all of that, and then someone was saying you need to watch Happy Valley, and I was at the time, we were really late to it as well, like 3-4 years after it had come out. And then someone was saying, oh, you need to watch it, and I was like, no, because we can't really do that sort of binge thing. And whoever recommended it to me was like, no, you really need to see it. And it was the first like UK show that we binged, that we put it on, and then the minute ended, we were like, have to watch the next one. And you can get the scripts on you can read the scripts for series 1 on BBC whatever for free.
In the writer's room.
And because it's just brilliant. Like we watched the first episode the other night for this, and it's just the humor, and in just her first few lines, do you know what I mean, when she's like, it's brilliant. And also total cheap but brilliantly done is when she's like, I'll tell you about myself. And she does all that exposition, genius, in the first like 3 minutes. Tell you about me, I'm 47, I'm divorced. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's not funky in the slightest, is it? I walked, I was down in town picking the boy up from school the other day, and she was there. Sarah Lancashire she jumped out because her husband was one of the heads of BBC for a while, and I recognised him in his car, and she jumped out and went into the jewellers. And she was definitely one of a few actresses that I had in my mind when I was writing Mrs. F in this. I thought about, like a bit of Olivia Colman, a bit kind of, I don't know if you've seen Ammonite with Kate Winslet in it. Kate Winslet's amazing in that film. Really, really amazing. But a lot of Sarah Lancashire. And I had a moment where I thought, there's a bookshop just around the corner from where I saw, and I thought, oh my God, should I go and run a copy and just put it in her hand? And then I chickened out. That's rubbish, isn't it? But she's, for me, she's like, she's as good as anything that's acting. Look at Olivia. Olivia Colman's wonderful for me.
She's amazing.
Every inch as versatile and as skilled as any actress out there. So and how nice
I was just going to say, I really love that you picked up.
Women are getting dumped at 30 plus, in terms of acting roles. Here's an opportunity, someone to really get their teeth into it. Sorry, Anna, I interrupted you.
No. I was just going to say that you picked up on like her relationship with her sister being kind of one of the, because I don't actually remember as much about the second series, but I do remember spending the whole thing in this state of really kind of deep anxiety, worrying about her sister, and just caring so much about kind of her, but also their relationship with each other, and that just being one of the kind of strongest parts of the whole program for me. I love her. I really love. It's Claire, isn't it? Her sister.
Claire, that's right. Yeah.
She's sorry, go on.
No, you go.
There's just I just seen her be really, really funny in BBC Three thing. Alma's Not Normal. It's like a little 6-part, the Claire, and it's just brilliant in it. But yeah, the sister relationship you were saying that you just
As an object sort of lesson in writing, it's really interesting to see how many layers of misery / tension Sally Wainwright can pile on top of like, well, I was watching an episode last night, and one of her PCs had just been brutally murdered. Been run over by Tommy Lee Royce.
Oh God,
Her husband was refusing to have anything to do with his grandson because he was the product of sexual assault. And then on top of that, she had to go home to a sister who's finding out that her mate's daughter's been kidnapped. And it's like, it could be too much, but it's not. And like the best advice I was ever given as a writer was an editor once said to me is you've got to wring every bit of drama out of someone's life. Do you know what I mean? You've got to absolutely put them through the ringer. And that's what Sally Wainwright does so well, I think. And that's why it works for me.
That's great advice.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, should we do the final choice then? We're getting we could talk about Happy Valley for the rest of the evening, can we?
Sally Wainwright, certainly.
Brilliant.
The Detectorists.
Yes.
So tell us about the Detectorists. I
can't remember how I came to it. I think someone probably told me about it. I think I certainly didn't watch it as it was airing. I think it aired on BBC Two. Gosh, I don't know how many years ago now. Probably 5 years ago at least. And I came to it because it was at first I thought it was like a Mackenzie Crook vehicle, and then I did a bit of reading around it, and what I read was that Mackenzie Crook obviously did incredibly well in The Office, and then he played quite decent parts in all the Pirates of the Caribbean films. He played the pirate who pops his eye out. He's the comedy eye pirate. And apparently he'd been paid very nicely for that. And that money that he'd earned had allowed him to develop this project, which he'd written and directed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, called Detectorists. And it started out as six 30 minutes. It stars him as well, along with Toby Jones, who kind of is best known, I guess, for being the voice of Dobby. But he also played Truman Capote, he played.
Yeah.
And also he's in one of the best TV films I've ever seen in my life, which is called Marvelous, which is on iPlayer, and it's based on a true story about a guy called Neil Baldwin, a man who's still alive now. He's in his 70s, I think, in Stoke. And despite his learning difficulties, he's had the most incredible life ever. Anyway, go and find that because it's absolutely stunning.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's Toby Jones and Mackenzie Crook who play a couple of metal detectorists, Lance and Andy, and they are best mates, and they're pretty normal, salt of the earth human beings. Lance works at a factory picking vegetables and driving a forklift, taking out aubergines and cauliflowers and stuff. Andy is training to be an archaeologist, but basically works as a council worker. And it's about this Denbury metal detecting club that they're part of. But for me, it's hilarious. For me, again, it's just a lesson in the most brilliant dialogue I think I've ever come across. It has moments in it which are tiny moments that literally take my breath away because they hint at something much deeper, but is never really expanded upon. There's I know you haven't watched it all yet, have you?
I haven't watched it all, no.
I've watched the first series. I've watched all the first series, yeah.
I can't remember what series it's in, but it's to do with Andy and his girlfriend, Mackenzie Crook's character. They have a son. And I think it's when they announced to the metal detecting club that they're going to have a baby. There's Terry, who's the big ex-policeman who runs and he's a real...
The one who got shrapnel in his leg.
Yeah, big, tough, quite officious sort of guy, a bit of a laughing stock, really. And his wife, Sheila, who makes the lemonade, and whenever anyone...
She's hilarious with the eyeshadow,
But there's a moment where Andy and his missus, I think they're talking about the fact that they never thought they'd have kids, and it's come as a massive surprise. And there's a look that passes between Terry and his wife and it's just a look. There's no script.
Oh.
And it hinted at whether they'd tried and couldn't have
Oh.
kids, or whether they'd lost a kid, and then the moment's gone. And I've got goosebumps the size of boulders on my arms, because for me that's such clever writing, that you can allude and you don't have to expand. It's enough. Do you know what I mean?
That is beautiful.
And the
Because it's
program's
really
not,
consistent with their characters as well, isn't it? So just, maybe.
it's not really about a lot. It's not about a right lot. Not a lot really happens.
It's all character, isn't it? It's all
And there's these other they've got like a pitch battle going with the
Simon and Garfunkel,
the antiquity searchers, who then become, as you go through it, they rename themselves the Dirt Sharks, which is like, but they look like Simon and Garfunkel, don't they? And it's just, and it's Simon Farnaby who's written a kids book now, and he wrote Paddington 1 and 2. The guy who plays the sort of Art Garfunkel lookalike.
Oh yeah.
And it's magical, and you'll get, hopefully, if you watch on, because there's 3 seasons and there's a Christmas special. The Christmas special's all right; it's not special, but the 3rd series is great. And the last episode, without any spoilers whatsoever, for me, is the most perfect 27 minutes of TV that I've ever watched. It's perfect. It's perfect.
I need to get to that then, don't I?
Yeah, it's
I've never heard of it, and then you mentioned it as your choice, so I was like, I want to watch it. So I started watching it, and they're half-hour episodes, so I downloaded it and I was watching it at work, and I'm on episode 6, I think. But then I mentioned it to my husband. I was like, have you heard of this? Do you want to watch this? And he's like, oh, not really. I'm like, please just watch an episode, because I know that you'll love it. And then we watched like 3 in a row, and he was like, it's not like anything I've ever seen. And we were both just like, it's the warmest thing, just madly in love with it. But what was really weird watching them again, the first 3 episodes, and I feel a bit stupid admitting this, but it's absolutely fine, is, the mad guy who might have, buried his wife in the whatever. Yeah. So when I watched it on my own, and this, maybe it's because I'm watching it on a phone or whatever, but when I watched it on my own, I totally, God, it's like what our brains do. I put dogs in it. You never see his dogs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Right? So he's like, get off the sofa, and he's like throwing a stick. And my brain, oh my God, my brain put dogs in it. They were just off screen. And my husband watched it and he went, Jesus Christ, he's barking, isn't he? He's like, how? And I'm like, there's no, anyway, yeah. Anyway, it was really great watching it again.
You think the budget was a bit tight? They just couldn't afford dogs.
I didn't know. I think because he was acting so mad, so convincingly, he made me see his dogs, man. It was the writing. I don't know. It's just the dogs. Yeah, they just weren't in shot.
It's a bit.
So anyway, so it was more tragic watching it.
It's a bit like Schitt's Creek. I don't know if you bothered with Schitt's Creek. Did you bother with that?
Oh yeah, it took a while. Oh, I loved it, but it took me like 4 episodes to give a rat's ass about anyone, and then loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a warmth. There's a real kindness to it, and I love that scene where they go to the open mic night and they play New Age Girl, and Lance can only play his mandolin if he's sat cross-legged on a
cushion,
and he looks
like the cushion of that chair.
He looks like Beautiful.
We were talking about it earlier but my husband absolutely loves it. I think he's watched all of it, and I watched the first series with him because he loves that sort of quiet, not a lot happens, and also just how, again, a bit like Happy Valley, how beautiful it is. So it just is a real kind of showcase for beautiful landscape, isn't it, as well?
It is. Like with, I know it's a bit of a tangent, but if you look at Gone Fishing with Bob Mortimer and Paul White.
Yeah, we love that. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's another one you've got to watch. I mean, it's just,
we love that. But Bob Mortimer's just a national treasure, isn't it? I mean, like, he can be, just watch him do anything. Like,
the other thing I love about Detectorists is the music. So the guy, the theme song is written and sung by a guy called Johnny Flynn, whose brother is Jerome Flynn from Robson and Jerome. And but Johnny Flynn's an actor as well. I don't know if you've watched it. He's in on Netflix. There's a really good film called The Dig with Carey Mulligan.
Oh no, I've not seen that.
No, I didn't watch it, but yeah, I saw the.
So he's devilish handsome. He's a great singer, writes beautiful songs. But yeah, I mean, it's just I walk around just singing that theme song as well. It's up there for me. It's like, it's nearly as good as Best Around in
Yeah, nearly. Nearly. No, it is a really, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because that's quite different from your other choices as well. It's much kind of more low key, much quieter.
Yeah, I think for me, there's a real thing about comfort with TV. I think it
Yeah.
comes from being a kid. I used to rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. I mean, Blackadder, I can't remember how many times I rewatched Blackadder, 2, 3, and 4. And then Fools and Horses as well. I used to go to sleep with it on. I used to put those sorts of programs on and I knew them so well. I knew them inside out. It was like a bit of a balm, really. And I find that with some telly. My fiance Lou, she thinks I'm crazy. I rewatch things all the time, and she's like, "Why on earth would you do that?" But for me, there's something really soothing about it. Plus, I'm learning. I think as a writer, if something's well written, I haven't learned a right lot about writing through reading because I'm not a good reader. But I've learned an awful lot about writing through watching good telly.
God, that's
because
really
you're
interesting.
still telling a story. You're just doing it in a much more economical way.
Yeah, I think rewatching stuff, like my husband will rewatch stuff that, like QI. Do you know what I mean? Or like whose line is it anyway? That kind of rewatch. So you don't really learning anything.
So he knows the answers when he
yeah,
watches
I mean,
it. So
he'll say it.
Clever.
He totally does. He'll say it, and I'm like, you just watch
Check
that. Like,
me
calm
out.
down.
I know all the
totally.
answers.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 cats. But with TV, I definitely think because you're so focused on what's happening the first time you see it, like even just with a 2-week gap of watching the first 3 episodes of The Detectorists again, I was like listening because I knew what was happening a few series down. I was like, oh, they've already set that up in like episode. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's really, it's quite, you might often watch a film, but TV series I don't often watch again, if that makes sense. But
No, it does.
Yeah, there's learning to be had from that, definitely.
Oh God, yeah, love it.
Massively.
The only thing I know we're out of time, but just the only thing I didn't find convincing about The Detectorists was the relationship between. So, and it actually makes more sense now you've said that it was Mackenzie Crook's project, like he kind of was behind it all, and he's sort of thought, right, who I want a girlfriend, I'll get Diana Rigg's daughter. That's totally feasible, and it's just because he's not even very nice to her. So this
not in the first season. The dynamic changes. You're absolutely right. He's horrible. He's horrible. The Sophie dynamic with him,
like she's way out of his league, and he nearly cheats on her, and it's just like, what are you playing at?
She's nearly as beautiful as Elizabeth Shue. So, and let's face it, he is not Ralph Macchio.
He's not, is he?
I tell you what, going back to The Karate Kid, it was quite damaging, I think, as a 13, 14-year-old loving that film, because the way that Ralph Macchio kisses her at the Crazy Golf Course, he nearly eats her.
That was quite disturbing to watch, man. That was properly mean. Yeah, it's like, all right,
As a 14-year-old, when all you've practiced on is your hand, that's not good advice, is it?
Trying to learn how to kiss, right? So what I've got to do is I've got to get as much of my tongue inside her face as I possibly can.
No, wrong. I feel like we've covered a lot.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, on that note,
on that bombshell.
If you want to learn how to kiss, don't watch Karate Kid, kids. Yeah. Thank you. Those choices were fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant choices.
That's fabulous. Who are we getting carried away with next week, Anna?
So we've got a break of 2 weeks, haven't we, for our holidays?
Because that's how long it'll take to get through all the chocolate eggs and all that business. That's
right. And go and rewatch Happy Valley.
Yeah.
And then it's Lindsay, isn't it? Lindsay Galvin. Is that when we come back? Yeah.
Excellent.
So tell us what you've got going on, Phil. We've talked about When the Sky Falls, and
tell us what's coming out for you, and put some books in front of the camera.
So When the Sky Falls is available in all good bookshops and a few rubbish ones as well. And it's up for Carnegie Medal in June, which is, gobsmacking. and it's up for a Nibby as well. So I mean, it's been literally the most exciting year of my life as a writer. I've been doing it 10 years now, and it's my 20th book, and this one just seems to have
20th book.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
amazing.
Yeah, it's been great. And then in June, this one comes out, which is not a sequel. It's not a sequel. It's, I guess you could call it a companion, in that it's another World War II Blitz story with animals at its heart. So I don't know if you know that in September 39, as war broke out, the government sent a booklet to every household, and it said the same thing. It said, it's not going to be safe for your animals. There's going to be bombs falling, gas in the air, rubble, destruction, no food. The best thing you can do is have your animals put to sleep. And this booklet had diagrams, you can still find it online, diagrams with crosshairs on sheep or on dogs or foreheads showing you where to shoot your pet. It had adverts in it of which pistol to buy to kill them most painlessly. And as a result, in 1 month, in September 1939, 750,000 animals were killed.
Oh my God.
It's something like more than 3 times the number of British soldiers that died in the whole war. And so I only knew about that while I was editing When the Sky Falls. My editor, Charlie, told me about this they called it the Great Animal Massacre. And immediately I was like, oh, that's a story, isn't it?
Oh my God, yeah.
And so it's about one boy called Noah. Oh God, Noah here. And when his mum gets the booklet, he decides he's not going to do it, because as his dad marched away to war, he's made his dad a promise that he'd look after their dog, Win. And his dad says to him, you look after the dog and I'll be all right. You keep the dog alive, son, and I'll come back. I'll come back. So Noah decides not to put the dog to sleep. Instead, him and his 2 mates, well, his best mate, Clem, and Big Col, who's the sort of school bully, they nick Noah's dad's boat and they fill it with animals and they sail it down the Thames. Because during World War II, there was a woman called the Duchess of Hamilton, Nina Douglas Hamilton. She was a distant relative of the Queen or the King at the time. And she said she was an anti-vivisectionist. And she said, don't put your animals to sleep. Bring them to me. And so these kids think she lives in Windsor. So they try and sail the boat down through the Thames to get them there.
So is there any point at all in this book when I won't be sobbing?
I don't think this one is a bit sad. This one, I don't think is as sad. I think it's an adventure story. That's what I wanted it to be. So I'm hoping. Yeah, I mean, there are sad bits. I cannot confirm whether all the animals get there alive. Because it's real life. But no, it's an adventure story. I read Good Thieves by Catherine Rundell a few years ago, and I thought that was just the most incredible adventure. So I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could write that kind of period adventure story. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does sound amazing.
Plug.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much, Phil. That's been so brilliant. Really enjoyed talking about those 3 things.
It's really nice to be able to come online and talk about stuff that isn't like right hoity-toity. Do you know what I mean? It's like, It's like, can be so much snobbery, can't there, about writing and writing.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you mean? Karate Kid's properly fancy.
Well, it was. Yeah, it's. But I think most people haven't even talked about books, have they? I don't think necessarily. It's much.
Yeah, that's been one of the really interesting things about doing this.
We might scratch that. Maybe we'll scratch that in future. That you're just not allowed to talk about books, actually.
But a few of the writers have said writers don't often get asked about the films and TV programs that inspire them. So actually, that's been what most people have really loved talking about.
Yeah, no, it's great. I've really loved it. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you for agreeing to be a guest. It's been brilliant. And thank you for sharing the Detectorists, because I'm so excited that you discover a new thing and you're like, I've still got like 2 series to go. Like,
yeah. No, and they don't disappoint. As I say, the Christmas special is fine, but it's not brilliant. But the second 2 series are stupendous.
Yeah, no, wicked.
Brilliant. I'm definitely going to watch those. Right, so we will see you. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you after our 2-week break for the holidays.
Love you.
Bye, everyone. Love you. Bye.